Johan Arvidsson, CEO of Nexam Chemical, and like you said, I have Svanberg, our CTO, and so we will really do a deep dive into the technology a bit later on. I will give you a brief introduction to Nexam first, and then we tell you a little bit more around our technology. Nexam Chemical, we are making additives for plastic. And we both develop, we produce, and we sell the additives for plastic. And it's sometimes in the general debate, it's the question whether plastic should exist or not at all. That's a topic you hear from every now and then. And of course, it's possible to come to the conclusion that it should never have been invented. On the other hand, plastic material or polymer material is also a foundation for a lot of things we take for granted in our society. It's kind of difficult to see a grocery store without any plastic packaging. I think we will see that also in the coming years. When you're doing sports, everything you wear and have on is usually in plastic, especially you see the skiing people on the pictures. Also in renewable energy, it's a lot of plastic, and that's where we found one of our really growth areas in windmills and the core material for windmills. So we are trying to make plastic better with our additives. Better in a way that they could be stronger or lighter, but also, and this is something that is becoming more and more interesting, easier to recycle. And I wrote here, perhaps a little bit provocative for the plastic industry, that plastic market under reconstruction. And it's like we will see some projections about how big the plastic industry will be in a few years. And yeah, it's easy to come to the conclusion that there are some links missing, and we can be one of those links. And it's nice to be just after Nasdaq, because we actually took the opportunity to go for one of these programs. We did it a bit more than a year ago. The program Nasdaq called Green Designation or Green Equity Designation. That's something which we think is like a hands-on and auditable system that will tell you the story about the company and its business model. I couldn't explain it better than the speaker before me, actually. So that was a good introduction. We are happy for it. It helps us in our daily work, and it's also a transparency for investors that you can actually see the report that has gone through both the products we make, but also how we make them. So it has been a robust system that we really like. Often, Nexam is a company that is here and now. We have a fantastic future and a fantastic possible development, but we are already in this development. We have a foundation for further growth. We are selling last year for a bit over 200 million Swedish crowns. And we have had a steady growth since about 2016. We usually say that our ambition is to grow by 25% a year. We have been doing that for most of the years since during this time period. Last year was a challenge. The challenge is possible to describe under wind energy. There wasn't a lot of wind and windmills built last year, and that we took a hit from that. That is, but for the rest, we are developing nicely, and we expect to bounce up quite heavily when wind industry is getting started a little bit more again. So I will soon hand over to the main speaker today, but just some words around our offering, where we are looking for business, and it has like I said, making plastic better, lighter and lightweighting, that was really the beginning of Nexam. How can we make it stronger, more temperature resistant and so on? That was the focus from the very beginning. And that is still an area where we are exploring business opportunities. One area is high temperature resistant composite materials that can be used in aircraft engines, for instance. This is something we do. We sell materials that are used in aircraft engines. By exploring some of these technologies, we came into an area that has been super interesting for us. It is the PET foam is a core material in windmills, and we found additives that could improve those materials, make them more useful and stronger. So we found a business that connected us directly to wind energy. And that was one of the real growth factors in Nexam. It's also a demonstration that we actually can take new technology to the market and initiate business. And we will now do a little bit more of a deep dive into our next, what shall we call it? Hopefully top seller and best area, and that will, the wind energy will remain, we will continue with that, but we expect waste and recycling really to be our next big item. So, Christer.
Thank you very much. So let's just focus or zoom out a little bit. What are we talking about? If you look at how much plastic that's produced globally, it's approaching 500 million tons per year. It's huge, it's massive. And if you look at the kind of polymers that we use, almost half of them are polyolefins and PET. And the reason why I mention those will be rather obvious in a few slides. But a key issue is if you look at the recycling rate, on a global level, it's only about 10%. So out of all this plastic that we produce, it's only a tiny fraction that we actually manage to put back in the loop. In Europe, yes, we're doing better, but also the ambition is very high. So the Commission's vision is by 2030, which is basically tomorrow, we should have 50% of all the plastic waste recycled. It's a huge challenge. It's a challenge to the whole society. How can we do it? And what I want to show in the next coming slide is that Nexam has a role to play in this. We have one part where we can play a role. What is the issue with plastic? I've been working in the plastic industry for 50 years. I think it's a brilliant material. It's one of the best that we ever had, personal opinion. What is the issue is not so much the material, it's actually how we use it. So typically, we produce it, we use it, and we waste. That is not sustainable. That is not the way we can continue doing, just wasting this good feedstock. So what we need to do is to transition into a circular economy. So after the waste, we collect, we sort the material, we put it into recycler, and we put it back into the loop, so we produce something new out of it again, something valuable, and not just downgrading it. We try to make something very valuable. This goes for basically all things that we do in circular economy. What about plastics? Well, very simplistically, what is a polymer? A polymer is a long chain of a simple building unit that you repeat hundreds of thousands of times. You build a long chain. This is the reason for all the beautiful properties that you get, the mechanical strengths and so on and so forth. But when you use the material and when you process the material, especially if you do it over and over again, you can break or you can damage that chain. So when you come to the recycler, when you have collected this one, it's not necessarily the same chain as you had in the first place. It can be smaller, it's shorter, and it can be damaged. So that is an issue, because then we can't just put it back into the loop. And now, this is where Nexam comes into play. We have developed technology where we can at least partly repair or restore. I don't say that we take it back. It's not exactly back to the original place, but we can actually take back quite a few of the most important properties. We call this reactive recycling, because it's basically exactly what we do. It's recycling, and we're doing a reactive process here. By doing this, for polyolefins and PET, we have technology for that. Then we can actually create value for our customer because they can use it for more highly value-added product, or they can use more recycled material. Both of them are key and important in order to increase the amount of recycling rate that we have. Two important thing is that the technology that we have, our customer can use it by their existing compounding machine that they have. They don't have to invest in anything new. They simply use their own process, they can use our additive, and they can create something that has new properties, that is more what we want to have for the high-value products. I will then take two examples. Actually, interesting enough, I mean, the bottles that you have, this is a PET bottle, right? One of the polymers that we have, we actually recycle quite good. But, as I said, when you use this material and when you actually process it again, when you want to remelt it to another bottle, eventually you start to degrade that one. You break the polymer. So in order to actually regain the properties, we have additives that you can put into your material and you can restore or rebuild partly the molecules as well. So we can actually use it to more highly valued product instead of just downgrading it each time. So this is one thing where we try to help closing the loop, coming back so we actually do recycling. Another thing where Nexam can provide technology is when you have recycled plastics, it typically comes in the color of green, brown, or gray. But we still expect to have the nice color of the product that we expect. So Nexam also has technology so we can color these materials into the stuff that we want to have. So if you put this in a bigger perspective, for a few things, or some key polymers, Nexam can provide the right color. We can also help building better properties of the recycled material that you have. So this is one of the areas where we believe we see a great future. We see opportunity where we can actually be part of this and build something new. And coming to the last slide, I've been working 15 years in the polymer industry, and the change that we see now, going from the linear economy to the circular economy, and that is a fundamental change. It will require a lot of technology. And we have to build up new processes in order to do this. How to collect the waste, how to sort the waste, and so on and so forth. But there is, Nexam has technology where we can be a part of that, a link in that, and helping a small contribution, actually putting it back into the loop. So that is the recycling part, and I will hand back to Johan for the overall for Nexam.
And this is our relation to our customers, and this is, you already touched the circular economy, and this is more to illustrate why I think Nexam is so interesting. Beyond our technology, the relations we have usually with our customers, it's never a one-off. It's never that they buy a material and then it's done. We will be a part of our customers' innovation, and they will continuously use our materials if they decide those solutions. So we will have a long-lasting and very intimate relation to all our customers. That's definitely a reason why this can be an interesting company, Nexam. I think we explained our part in the circular economy. That's a second reason. The third one, and hopefully you understood it from the presentation, we have come quite far. It's a lot around here and now. We have a company, it's running, we are selling, but we are still only in the beginning of our journey. So we have an expectation of a really long-lasting increase of our sales and the growth of our company. And with that, I actually would like to just say thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're all afraid of microplastics. And does your product, your innovation, in any way hinder the microplastics from coming out? Let's say the water bottles here. If you recycle them too many times or you reuse them in your home, there's a leakage of microplastics into the drinking water. Does your technology in any way sort of facilitate the lessening of microplastics in our environment?
I would like to say yes, but I think that's a little bit overstatement. No, it's more about when we actually do collect the plastics, then we can do something useful about it. So getting the plastic into the environment is not where it's supposed to be.
No. So
that is a fundamental problem that actually goes beyond this technology.
But on the other hand, if we can increase the value of plastic, we increase the reason to actually collect it. So in that sense, we definitely could say that we have some sort of solution, but we don't need to claim anything for that.
It's a bigger picture that you can contribute to. Well, that's, of course, the most important picture. So if you look at competition, what does that look like?
We of course have competitions everywhere. There are usually much larger companies than Nexam, and but if we look to, there are different type of competition. The in-kind and the non-in-kind competition. There are few companies doing exactly the same thing as we do, but you can always solve a problem in different ways. So you will find other solutions to similar problems. On the other hand, the recycling, and we will have different competition in different sectors, but if you speak about the recycling, it's a little bit like the energy production. We need all of it and more, and so we'd rather like to consider alternative technology as complementary. We are going to take plastic recycling from 10% to 50% in 8 years. We need all technology.
Well said. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck. Thank you.